to you from Twin Town Sports Central at 601 East Dakota Avenue. It's the Grovcast. And how about that purple and yellow? Eric Grover here, sports editor, Wahpeton Daily News, and I'm joined. We got a full house in crowd today. First, I'd like to introduce my co-host from the Breckenridge Cowboys, Blake Anderson-Wilcox. How are you doing today, Blake?
Doing good.
That's good. And also we got my main man, intern Blaufuss over here, hanging out. What's going on, man?
It's good to be here.
Still sore, are you?
Certainly.
And also joining us, we got Miles Trump of the Daily News hanging out. What's going on, man?
I'm happy to be here. Ready to talk Vikings football.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, hey, we got some Vikings football coming up in a little bit, but first we got to turn our attention to the big story of the weekend, and this might be a little sore for these guys to my left here, the big Harvest Bowl matchup. Boy, emotional game on both sides, and Wahpeton is the team that won this game, but I got to say I was a little more impressed with the way Breckenridge played, especially the way that they were outnumbered and that spirited first half capped by my man over here to the left, his touchdown grab right before halftime. Can you kind of talk about that, and what did you guys do in that first half to be so successful?
We just came out and did what we expected to do, pound the ball off tackle, catch them off guard with a couple quick pass plays. It worked out really great in the first half.
Yeah, and you know what? You guys were the better team in that first half. There's no question about it. But the problem was, how tired were you in that second half? You guys just ran out of gas. How difficult was it watching that game from the sidelines?
It was a tough game to watch. I mean, it's a game that you dream about playing in since you're about 5 years old. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I was so impressed with how our guys played that there really wasn't anything that I could complain about.
From what I saw, they pounded you guys up the gut in that first half, and then in the second half, they started bouncing it outside, and the conditioning and the stamina really played into a factor there, and MedHog was able to just bounce it outside and get lots of yards. What I thought the play of the game was, and you guys might think differently, but I thought it was right after Wap got that first touchdown, and you guys were still up 12-6, and it's like, okay, we're still up a score. And then on that Breck's first play from scrimmage, that high snap into the end zone for that safety, that just seemed to take all the momentum out of you guys.
It was a huge momentum swing, and it can just show you how one play can change the course of the game.
Yeah, well, you know what? You guys are going to be getting a lot of faces back for next week. It's going to be hard to stop you guys.
I think I'm really looking forward to this week. I mean, we got a tough matchup. I think Pelicans ranked number 8 in state right now, but we'll see. I mean, we get a lot of guys back, and hopefully we'll have a little more depth and can play a complete game.
So let's go to my pre-recorded post-game interview with Coach Brian Dokken. Here he is. How are you guys feeling right now? What an unbelievable comeback.
Oh, what a game, we came out, a lot of people probably thought we came out flat.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think they came out ready to play.
Yeah.
And they stuck it to us for that first half. We take a lot of pride in our conditioning, and it really showed out there. In that fourth quarter, we were fresh. We have kids that tell us that, practice harder than games. That way we know we're working them hard enough in conditioning in practice. And when we come to games like this, we can go the whole full course.
What did Breck do to be so successful in that first half?
You know what? They just played hard. They got after it. We had them outsized. At halftime, I'm like, guys, what's going on? They were playing hard.
Yeah.
And we just ended up wearing them down. Our size and strength and conditioning just kind of wore them down.
Yeah, that's what I kind of got too. In that second half, they were so short on guys, they just kind of ran out of gas a little bit. You guys started doing those sweeps out to the left and to the right. Those are really effective.
Oh, yeah, and what they were doing was they were man coverage, so they were running with us. They weren't doing no zone coverage, and they shouldn't. I mean, we're a running team. We don't throw the ball very much, so that's what they were doing, but we were wearing them out.
Yeah.
And we do that every day in practice. Mm-hmm. So we're conditioned for that, and yeah, they did. I kind of wore them out a little bit.
Well, you certainly like to run the ball, and you have the right guys to run the ball. Can you talk about Zane and his big second half?
Yeah, and we were all shut down. Everybody was shut down that first half. Zane just started seeing the hole. He kind of read the blocks a little bit more. In practice it's different. Because we're going against scout teams, and all of a sudden we were going against a live group, and that's going to come with time. He wasn't our starting running back last year. He was hurt for half the season. He's gonna learn how to make them reads. Right now, I think he's trying to hit it too hard. We got to back him off a little bit and let him read the blocks a little bit more.
Yeah. You guys were making the mistakes in that first half. Turnover here, turnover there, but you guys took advantage of opportunities in the second half. I got to ask about that onside kick. Was that planned, or what happened there?
No, it wasn't planned. Jaden's the kind of guy that he likes to do stuff on his own.
Yeah.
And I don't think he even planned it, because I asked the kids, did he plan that? I was just the other coach. Did he do that? He'll do that in practice.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he goes, one kid goes, no, he called it deep middle.
Yeah.
So it was just a shank, but hey, our guys picked up on it right away, and they didn't, and that was a big difference maker, a big play. Yeah, that was kind of almost the nail in the coffin. That drive, we had just scored. The momentum had all of a sudden just switched over to us, and it was kind of, it was just one of those things that our kids just all of a sudden it clicked. We're not going to lose.
How does, you guys have had two very difficult games to open your season. How do you build off this, and how do you keep on getting better?
We got to do that. We got to get better. Like you said, we're kicking ourselves in the foot that first half. We're hurting ourselves.
Yeah.
We got to overcome that stuff, and we got to be able to stand toe to toe with anybody and push people around. We're going to be in a really good conference. The East is going to be really good this year, so we got to be able to get after it and just execute.
All right, sounds good, Coach. Congratulations.
Guest host Blake Anderson-Wilcox here on the Grovcast, and moving on from high school football, we're going to talk a little Vikings season preview here. I think the Vikings have a lot of weapons back on offense, but it looks like the defense could be their question mark this year. What do you guys think?
Well, I don't know. I think the Vikings have been really hit or miss with their games this preseason. They've had some strong points, but they definitely have a lot to work on. I think it all starts with the quarterback play, and let's bring in the Grovecast resident Vikings expert, Miles Trump, in.
Nice.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that too.
You are now the resident Vikings expert, and what have you thought of the Vikings quarterback play? Except for Webb, we got entirely new faces here at quarterback for the Vikings.
Yeah, I was a little nervous right away going after Donovan McNabb. I know a lot of people liked it, but I thought that him coming in right away, I didn't know how his potential and his upside would be, since he's getting on a little bit of the elderly side, if you will.
Yeah, a little bit.
He seemed like he didn't have that motivation in that drive last year, but I think so far, from what I've seen in the news, it seems to be so far so good.
What we're going to do now is kind of go through the Vikings regular season here and kind of figure out where the Vikings are going to be right here in a really talented NFC North division. Who do the Vikings kick the season off with?
Sunday you got an afternoon game at San Diego.
At San Diego.
And I gotta say, I'm afraid I like San Diego better in this first game.
It's hard not to. I mean, let's look at it. San Diego had the number one offense and defense last year. I'm going to have to say that's a loss. What's next?
You got Tampa Bay, September 18th, noon game.
At home.
At home, yeah.
Now, Tampa Bay was a much improved team last year. This Tampa Bay 2 seasons ago was one of the laughing stocks of the NFL, but they are a 10-win team.
I think that coming off of that loss, first week, if it plays out how I think it will, that they'll be fired up for their home opener, and the Metrodome's a hard place to play at for teams to come in there, and I hope that they can, and I think that they'll win that one.
Well, as long as the roof stays on.
At home versus Detroit.
Detroit. Now, that is the team of the preseason that everybody's been talking about. Vastly improved. They got those monsters on the defensive line, and Stafford is back.
I think they're one of the up-and-coming teams who could really come around this year if Stafford stays healthy and Johnson out there, and their D-line, they seem stacked.
I think it's going to be close, but I think at home the Vikings do it. At Kansas City on October 2nd.
At Kansas City. Now, that's a real wild card.
Yeah.
Kansas City has the offense. They got some real good skill players with Charles as the running back and Dwayne Bowe as a deep threat. Matt Castle, I'm not completely sold on him. I think he's getting a little more talk than he's worth right now. I think he's a little overrated. I think that's a game that the Vikings can win, even though it's on the road, because the Kansas City defense is very suspect. Let's call that 2-2. What's next?
Arizona, and that is a afternoon game, noon game, October 9th, Sunday.
Arizona is a team with a lot of question marks. Kevin Cobb has been good in the games that he's played, but he hasn't played a lot of games.
I still think AP could run all over them. I don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals' defense.
3-2. Vikes are doing good here. All right, let's
then
keep
you
going.
got the hostile crowd of the Chicago Bears.
Just looking at the matchups, I don't like it.
I wouldn't say that any of our receivers other than Percy Harvin would be better than any of theirs, and they have Devin Hester, which is the same type of
As long as Cutler can keep that phantom leg injury under check, I think that's a Bears win. So we're at 3-3 here. What's next?
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
At home.
At home.
Sunday, October 23rd, 3:15 game.
Well, I don't know if I should even weigh in on this because I think I'm a little biased.
We know we have some hometown bias in the room right now.
I don't know. I think that game, I've seen some crazy things come out of it, both sides, where
It's a
big
grab.
underdog
It's a toss-up.
I don't know, it's kind of one of those games where, on paper, the team that should win doesn't always win.
I always think that there's going to be one game that they're just going to, just come out of nowhere and play the best game of the year, and I'm hoping it's that one.
I'm not. But, all right, is it fair to say that that's going to be a loss here?
Yeah.
Okay.
But granted, just on a tangent, I do think
It'll be
that
close.
Green Bay is going to have a Super Bowl hangover effect at Carolina.
Win.
Yeah,
Win.
Bye week.
Bye week. And
Then
then
we come back Monday Night Football at Green Bay.
At Green Bay? All right. Well, I think we are just discussed this. Ken, if the Packers are going to beat them at the Dome, is that safe to say they'll get them at Lambeau?
I don't know. I'm still chalking it up as a Vikings loss in my head.
Okay.
As of today. If you ask me that 4 or 5 weeks from now, it might be a different.
But this is a season preview, Miles.
I know.
They have a lot better shot at home than they do in Lambeau.
Okay. So we'll say 4 and 5.
Oakland Raiders.
Okay. That's a better team.
Mm-hmm.
Oakland is better. They're not quite the pushovers that they've been the last few seasons, but they're still kind of pushovers. I'm going to call it a win, though. I think the Vikings will win this game.
Atlanta. We're in Atlanta.
Loss.
Yeah.
That's a loss.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
They just don't lose.
Atlanta is so
Matt
talented.
Ryan's just so good, and I think that secondary just won't be able to hold up.
Denver at home, December 4th.
Now, that could go either way. That's going to be a really interesting game.
Yeah.
About 2 evenly matched teams.
It might just come down to whatever team has better quarterback play on that day.
And who's going to be the quarterback for Denver?
Yeah,
Are you
exactly.
it could be Brady Quinn for all we know.
Not going to be Brady Quinn.
It might be Brady Quinn. It could be.
I don't know. I've never been a huge Kyle Orton fan, so personally I'd give that one to the Vikings.
What about Tim Tebow?
I love Tebow just because of his work ethic, but I still don't think that he's a proven quarterback in the NFL.
At Detroit, which I think will be interesting.
I think Detroit will be improved enough to get things done at home.
If Stafford's healthy.
Yeah.
If Stafford's healthy,
Yeah.
and that's a big question mark. But we have to assume that he is at this point. I don't know. Are we given I'd say a loss here for the Vikings.
Yeah, I'd go with that also.
I'm in agreement. And then we have New Orleans at home.
Okay, that's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
And you don't even get the dome advantage because, New
They're
Orleans.
from-
Exactly. You got to like the Saints offense right there.
Drew Brees against our secondary.
Yeah.
Drew Brees against the terrible secondary? Yeah, absolutely.
We've seen Drew Brees pick apart secondaries and defenses for years. At the Redskins.
Interesting.
I think McNabb coming back after playing there last year will have a lot to prove, and I'd like to see if he steps it up or what he does at that point, because I think that he'll really want to prove to his old team that, hey, I'm the real deal and I can still play. So I'd almost want to give that one to the Vikings.
And it's Christmas Eve, so it'd be a nice little Christmas present
Yeah.
for himself.
That's a big revenge game right there. You got to like it.
I agree. The Chicago Bears are playing the Vikings at Minnesota.
Right now we have them at 7-8, and the Bears are going to be a team challenging for a wild card spot, maybe. Vikings aren't going to have much to play for at this point, and the Bears are going to have everything to play for at this point.
I think we lose at 7-8.
I think so too. I just don't see it. So we have a final season record of 7-9. So you heard it here first, folks. I think that's going to be wrapping it up for this week's Grovcast. I'd like to thank my guest host, Blake Anderson-Wilcox. And of course, thanks to Turner Blaufuss and Miles Trump for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Hey, we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Grovcast.